Mary's. Good evening, everybody. Alongside Sean Farnham, I'm Eric Rothman. And Sean, when you talk about non-conference resume builders, here's a good opportunity for both of these teams.
That's a great point. It is a great opportunity for them to build their resume because these are two teams that flat out can play basketball. I like watching both of them play because they've got good guards. They space the floor and they've got people that can score. That makes it interesting and fun for me.
You mentioned those guards. One of them that we were looking forward to seeing is Tremont Waters, not in the starting lineup tonight for LSU.
Well, when you, over the last 5 games, average over 5 turnovers per contest, you want to shake things up a little bit and teach the young man to value the basketball. Had a great season a year ago, 198 assists, but he's kind of a try-hard right now, as my kids would say. He's just trying to do a little bit too much. You got to simplify the game, and sometimes you need to sit down, watch the game develop, so you can do that even that much better.
The flashing lights of Las Vegas welcome the Neon Hoops Showcase to the T-Mobile Arena. Game number 2 of our evening here in Vegas as the LSU Tigers take on the St. Mary's Gales, the first time ever that these two teams have met. Good evening, everybody. Alongside Sean Farnham, I'm Eric Rothman. We are so excited we are literally falling out of our chairs here in Las Vegas. And Farney, two teams trying to build a non-conference resume, and they can do it here tonight, SEC West Coast Conference battle.
Well, you look at St. Mary's, they took a couple losses early in the season, and seemingly they got derailed. But over the last 4 games, they've reestablished who they are at the offensive end. And for LSU, it's been about missed opportunities against Florida State at the Advocare Invitational, against Oklahoma State there, then the other night against Houston. So for them, they're looking to try to get a win against a quality opponent to boost that resume up as they head towards SEC play. And they've got an opportunity here tonight, and then another one against an undefeated Furman team. We
were looking forward to the battle between Jordan Ford and Tremont Waters, but Waters not in the starting lineup for LSU.
Yeah, well, when you turn the ball over on an average 5.5 turnovers per game over the last 5 games, you've got to value the basketball. My kids say this all the time about he's a try-hard. Well, what's a try-hard? A try-hard means they're not doing the simple play. They're trying to do too much. And I think Tremont Waters right now is falling into that hole of trying to make the home run play rather than making the simple play. And for starting on the bench, it might allow him to see the plays develop and how the tempo and the flow of the game is going and allow him to be more successful.
So for Coach Will Wade, Marlon Taylor, the JUCO transfer, will get the start instead. It's LSU in the purple and gold. The St. Mary's Gales in the white uniforms with the red and blue trim. St. Mary's 7-4 on the season, riding a 4-game winning streak that started with a home win against Cal. Then they knocked off Bethune-Cookman, New Mexico, and then Cal State Fullerton most recently. And Sean, they're averaging 86 points per game in that 4-game stretch.
They didn't just knock off New Mexico. They dismantled New Mexico. And this offense is really starting to find itself. Look at that. All the great athleticism and strength of LSU, and they are right underneath the Hunter right away, and they've done that the last couple of games, trying to establish a little bit of a presence inside. And no Jock Landale this year, who was so dynamic for them a season ago. And Randy Bennett has always had a big that can score the ball.
Jordan Hunter is starting to emerge. There's a big who can score the ball. Naz Reid, the freshman from Asbury Park, New Jersey.
He's a freshman. I've been repeating that all day long. Just looking at him out on the floor, there is nothing about him that looks like a freshman.
Top 5 recruiting class for Coach Wade, 4 in the ESPN 100. A turnaround for Jordan Hunter, the senior from Australia.
It's just too easy. They're isolating on the block, and he's turning over his left shoulder, going to that jump hook.
He's shooting 64% from the floor this season. He hits his first 2 here in Vegas. It's a young LSU team. As Smart, another one of those freshmen.
Yeah, he tends to do that play, though, that he just did. Drive with his left and then back with his right as he's drifting and floating and making it a higher degree of difficulty of a shot. If he jump stops, utilizes athleticism, he'd get better results.
Two teams trade turnovers. Here's Malik Fitz. Transfer from South Florida. Kick out to Tommy Kuzi for 3. LSU, Sean, I mentioned the top recruiting class. They're young, but they have a ton of talent.
And this is one of those teams that as the season progresses is going to round into form. And you've already started to see that a little bit, but they're not where they're going to be. And Will Wade's done a great job talking about a sense of urgency. And every possession, they need to play with it. defensively, offensively. And when you have young kids that have been just superior talent than most of the people that they've ever played against in their life, you can take a couple plays off on the AAU circuit and be a top 5 recruit nationally or a top 20 recruit nationally. You can go play your high school team and take a couple possessions off defensively, and you're okay. But you're not at the Division I level. You're not at a school like LSU. You have to understand that the possessions you play early impact the outcome late. And I think that can be said. They controlled the game against Florida State. They should have won that game. But there were just as many possessions early in that contest that hurt them late.
Well, this is a stretch that they're in the middle of right now. LSU, Houston, St. Mary's, Furman. It's a tough 3-game stretch for a young team, especially traveling around. And Will Wade, second-year head coach, under the tutelage of Shaka Smart at VCU before taking over for him for a couple years. Going up against a legend in the West Coast Conference, Randy Bennett for St. Mary's. As Bennett 18th season at the helm for the Gales and just 1 win away from number 400 in his career.
And think about 3-time West Coast Conference Coach of the Year, all-time leader in wins, 12 consecutive postseason appearances. Had the first 30-win season a year ago. I mean, just tremendous job in building a program that was lacking life and lacking in identity, and it certainly hasn't under Randy Bennett.
The drive by Reed, finger roll, not there, out of bounds. St. Mary's basketball.
The other thing about Randy Bennett is how impressive his coaching tree has become. A lot of guys that have had success. Kyle Smith over at USF has been one of the surprise teams in the West Coast Conference. Was on his staff.
Aron Ganot in Hawaii.
Has led his team already to an NCAA tournament. You got Rick Croy at Cal Baptist making the transition from D1 to D1 and it continues to blossom. I mean, it is an impressive list of coaches that have been on that bench that have gone off now and found success.
Jordan Hunter is beating LSU 6-4 here in the opening 3.5 minutes. Baseline drive for Cavell Big B Williams, senior from London, England for the Tigers.
I mean, how about that level of explosiveness? But for Will Wade, he talked about this coming out of the Advocare Invitational, saying that we need to have better energy at the start of games. And that too often they're falling behind or coming out flat. Big B Williams has been one of those that they've counted on to provide that energy. So has Darius Days.
Thomas on the baseline with 3 to shoot, lost it off of his foot. Kuzi corrals it at the buzzer. And how about Jordan Hunter? All 8 points for St. Mary's. Working on the offensive glass. Almost up to his season average, coming in, averaging 10 points per game. But it seemed like he really turned a corner in the game you and I called against Cal. And seemingly this team turned a corner as they've ridden a 4-game winning streak since then. Ford, goes down awkwardly.
That's a bailout.
Yeah, I'm not sure where
that
the foul
is an absolute bailout. Will Wade beside himself with that one, but happy with this one. Set a screen, slip, utilize your athleticism, get to the rim. LSU's got to continue to attack the Gales inside.
Jordan Hunter has all 8 points for St. Mary's, up by 2 here early in Las Vegas over LSU. And in this 4-game winning streak, Sean, for St. Mary's, the offense has really come alive. And you really like the redshirt sophomore, Tommy Kuzi.
Tommy Kuzi has completely changed the way that St. Mary's is playing, going to the 2 guards. What you've done is you've allowed Jordan Ford to go back to his natural scoring mentality. And as you watch this, these are the videos that you saw at Dellavedova of Patty Mills sharing the ball, finding the big men. The assist numbers have dramatically increased, and so has the efficiency of the Gales offense, because what they're doing is they're getting you back into the defensive rotations. They're forcing you to have to rotate defensively and shift and change. They're plus 10 assists per game and almost plus 20% shooting from the field since Kuzi's gone in.
Well, going back to that assist number, you see nearly 18 assists per game during that win streak. Prior to that, 9 per game.
Yep.
They've doubled up their assists per game in the last 4. And that's coming off a losing streak of 4 games in a row.
And it's not just the assist numbers that you have to look at. Look at Kuzi, last 3 games, 21 assists to just 2 turnovers. It's valuing the basketball.
Here's Ford, the leading scorer. Floats that one up and in. The second Gale to get on the scoreboard in this one. Tremont Waters checking into the game. As we noted in the open, he did not start. Sophomore from New Haven, Connecticut is out there wearing number 3. It's Kuzi guarding Waters as Reed flatlines that three-point attempt.
Reed can make the three-point shot, but I'm telling you, those are the kind of shots I'd love for him to continue to take.
Offensive foul on Elijah Thomas.
A good job sliding in defensively, rotating over. One of the most impressive things I thought about Naz Reed, watching him as we prepared for this game, he's got great footwork. He's really good first possession against Houston, rotated around the post up, deflected the ball away, gained a possession for his team. He can defend out on the perimeter, and then as you just saw there, he's got the ability and willingness to take a charge.
When you look at his body, you wouldn't think he's as elusive as he is, but he's very good at finding a position on the floor. Waters manning the point. You talk about the assists and turnovers for St. Mary's during this winning streak as Reed wildly into the lane, blocked by Hunter. For LSU, keeping possession of the basketball is a big focus, especially with Waters, whose assist-to-turnover ratio is about at 1-to-1.
Yeah, and you go back to a year ago, and he had the second most assists of any player in program history, 198 assists as a freshman. He was all SEC freshman team. He did an outstanding job. He had some turnover issues even then.
Yeah.
But with less talent, he was actually better with his playmaking decision. I think was more talent behind. That's why I think this LSU team, why I said earlier, they've got a lot of gelling still to do, and that just comes from time. They need time on the court together, and as they improve over the course of the season, this is going to be a lock for the NCAA tournament for LSU. It will. Come March, they're going to be in the tournament, and you're going to say, wow, this team has really figured it out.
Fitz driving, stripped. Good defense by Reed, standing his ground inside the paint. Under 14 minutes to go here in the opening half in Vegas.
Oh my.
Reed lost it going up and gets bailed out by a block foul on Jordan Hunter.
I've never been so disappointed in my life.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I'm getting ready to stand up and scream and yell, and he just lost the ball.
The extension.
That could have been fantastic. And instead, he's shooting free throws.
Boring.
He just kind of feels like Charlie Brown's Christmas, you know, when the teacher's talking, wah, 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 wah. I was just literally ready to jump out of my seat and then fall once again.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it given your track record with the seats here
they have these
at
chairs.
the T-Mobile Arena.
They have these chairs that every time you stand up, the seat comes up. I didn't realize that. Took a bad fall before we started. What can I say?
It's very close to making it. Dan Fatu into the game. As Reed, one of the 2 5-star recruits in this freshman class. Number 12 on the ESPN 100 out of Roselle Catholic. Asbury Park, New Jersey. So it's Bruce Springsteen and Naz Reed. It's pretty good.
I don't know if I'm ready to put him in boss category just yet. They're a really talented basketball player.
He would have been boss if he threw down that slam. Kuzi, no look, and might have wanted to take a peek at Hunter and the rim, which got in the way. Devontae Smart hesitates, drives, finishes.
See, those are the type of finishes I like from him, when he's not doing the running, drifting floater, when he's extending out, utilizing his athleticism to go towards the basket. Talk about a young man who's last 2 games averaging about 17 points per game, 50% from the field.
He's coming off a career-high 18 points in the loss to Houston, maybe coming into his own as a freshman here with LSU.
Great job on-ball screen defense there.
Kuzi, tough angle.
Kuzi just got I want to say like the old man game, but just understands angles, and that's really what it comes down to. He understands angles and how to get his shot off, even against players that are better athletically than he is.
And St. Mary's has had a litany of those guys. You mentioned Delvedova, Patton Mills, Emmett Narr.
Oh, it's been an unbelievable run of talented point guards at St. Mary's. It's why they have one of the most successful track records over the last 10 years in all of college basketball.
10 on the shot clock for Kuzi. Double team. Grabs on the skip, sent packing. Marlon Taylor. No.
Marlon Taylor was taking that one back to Baton Rouge with him. Look at the space. You're thinking that's a wide open shot, but his athleticism is off the charts. That is just a sampling of why Will Wade says number 14 needs to have a huge impact for us as we get closer to SEC play.
So shot clock expires. Good defense by Marlon Taylor and LSU. Taylor, the JUCO transfer from Panola College from Mount Vernon, New York, getting the start tonight. And Sean, I got to tell you, 8 minutes into this game, we talked about how young this LSU team is. They don't play defense like it.
No, they're playing much better than they have in recent weeks, to be honest with you. In particular on the on-ball defense. They have been really poor, giving up too much space. They've done a nice job staying true to their scouting report and trying to defend St. Mary's at the point of attack. When the on-ball screen comes, they are standing there. They're not allowing that dribbler to get downhill on them.
And it leads to a three-pointer for Tremont Waters. Came into the game shooting just 27% from three, but gives LSU a 1-point lead here in the first.
He is much, much better shooter than what his numbers have indicated. And that just tells me he's putting pressure on himself. He feels like he's got to be the leader of this group, and he does. But sometimes when you feel that leadership role, that pressure makes you do things that not necessarily your strengths.
Turnover. Good hands by LSU. Up ahead, Williams keeps it alive. And a travel. Turnover on LSU, but their defense leading to the open three for Waters and an early lead for the Tigers here in Las Vegas. The choreographed fountains at the Bellagio. A beautiful sight. Got some great hoops at the Neon Hoop Showcase here at T-Mobile Arena. LSU up by 1 before we get back to the action. Let's take a look around college basketball. Nova, Kansas going down to the wire. Kansas pulling it out by 3. Tennessee, a 10-point win against Memphis. Gonzaga's lost 2 in a row.
A great win for North Carolina at home against Gonzaga, but still a huge win. Admiral Schofield might be playing as well as anybody in the country right now. He really might be. He had the 30-point performance against Gonzaga, scoring the final 11 in that game, and took over once again today as Tennessee and the substance in which Tennessee has. The SEC fans watching this game, come into the season, we again fall in love with shiny toys. Look at Kentucky. Oh my, look at that. Kentucky had a nice win against Utah today. Shot the ball better from beyond the arc than they have in recent weeks. But right now, Tennessee is the best team in the SEC. With Auburn close behind, and Mississippi State's not that far behind them, and then probably Kentucky. That's how good the SEC is going to be this year. So that's why if you're LSU, get a win here in Las Vegas against St. Mary's, beat Furman at home, you're coming out of the non-conference like 10-3, feeling really good about where you're at.
Well, that's what my question was going to be to you. You're naming the litany of teams in the SEC that are worthy of national praise. And yet, a few minutes ago, you said LSU, they're a lock for the NCAA tournament. That's pretty impressive.
Well, but that's just where the SEC has gone in college basketball. I mean, it is, everybody's looked at it and said, oh, it's a football conference. You haven't really paid attention to SEC sports in general because it's been a great women's college basketball conference for a long, long time. Tennessee, South Carolina under Dawn Staley, what she's been able to do. Mississippi State's been as consistent as any program. Texas A&M under Coach Blair. It has been outstanding women's college basketball. It dominates in softball, baseball, track and field, and they've made a commitment in the last 4 years for basketball in particular to continue to grow, and a big part of that has been the coaching changes.
Yeah.
Coaches like Will Wade, Rick Barnes, Bruce Pearl, Ben Howland, Tom Crean now at Georgia. You start naming off these coaches. These are guys that have accomplished something already in their coaching careers, whether it's young or old. Mike White was one of the hottest commodities for years when he was at Louisiana Tech before he went to Florida. And so I think when you upgrade your ability to have those kind of coaches, you invest in your facilities. Brand new facility. Kermit Davis is enjoying the facility that was built under Andy Kennedy, who's now working at the SEC Network. It changes the mindset and the discussion point for a conference.
The LSU Tigers competing in a certainly deep SEC conference. A big block by Emmett Williams. They have been excellent on defense here against St. Mary's as Williams circles around the rim, coast to coast for the big man.
Defense leading the offense. A nice job by Emmett Williams.
He's got those shorts hiked up pretty high. I respect that. That's old school. We saw Danny Ainge and Bill Lambier here earlier today. Those guys wore their short shorts.
I think his are shorter.
Might be.
He literally has them tucked and rolled under what his spandex, probably spandex shorts that he's wearing underneath his uniform. I mean, it is extremely short. But offense, again, defense, block shot, the athleticism of LSU. Twice now they've been able to erase what looked like good looks for St. Mary's. And I think that's the challenge for the Gales, is you're going against a team that has some superior athleticism.
And they're long. Yeah. Waters with the left. You bet.
That's a really nice start for LSU.
LSU out of the gate 6 for 13 from the floor. St. Mary's hanging around 7 for 12.
And Waters responding to coming off the bench. Three-pointer, very poised so far in the way that he's handling the ball.
Well, you talked about it earlier. It takes the pressure off him.
Yep.
Another turnover. This time it's Mays up ahead. Edwards for three. And the LSU defense wreaking havoc and leading to easy buckets.
Well, and that started with good post defense by Naz Reid. Again, moving his feet, getting his arm in the right position. Deflections.
There's another one. Mays again with the steal. Up ahead, Williams is fouled. As LSU a 7-0 run. Under 9 minutes to go here in the first.
I just have a feeling we've shown you replays of two missed dunks where they are literally just exploding up over the top of the Gales defense. Now look, they know that St. Mary's is not a shot blocking team. It never really has been underneath Randy Bennett. It's just not what they teach. It's not how they play. So what you have to do is, if you've got a team full of athletes, you're telling them, hey, we get the ball, you turn that corner. You are going to the cup. You are going to the rim and try to elevate up over the top.
Fotu called for his first foul. Williams, another one of those ESPN 100 recruits, number 21 for the class of 2018. And he had maybe the most legendary Jordan Brand Classic game ever, where he scored 44 points and broke LeBron James' record.
That's good.
It's not bad. You know, he says in the game notes, they give you a little tidbits about the guys. He says his favorite dessert is Grandma Mary's pound cake. Now, I don't know what that is,
but that
sounds so good.
You know what I love? The fact that you point out the game notes, because Kent Lowe, who is the longtime media relations director for LSU, it is his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And I will tell you, covering the SEC for the last 4 years, there is nothing more synonymous with LSU basketball, somebody that wakes up every single morning thinking of LSU basketball, more than Kent Lowe.
Well, happy birthday to him. We appreciate the notes.
He does a great job.
We would appreciate some Grandma Mary's pound cake.
Either that or some peanut butter and jelly.
6 seconds, Fitz in the lane. Hunter tried to keep it alive, called for over the back.
And you wonder what Kent Lowe looks like? That's Kent Lowe. And he's an icon and a legend inside the LSU basketball program. There from the days of Dale Brown, Shaquille O'Neal, and continues to wake up every day thinking, you know what? I love working in Baton Rouge. It's a great town. They got some great food down in Baton Rouge. Things are going well for the Tigers. They're feasting on the Gales early. Hey, Kent, happy birthday.
Sunday with Sunday NFL Countdown on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. Sam and the guys will have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and of course they're going to preview each game right up until kickoff. And like everything else, as well as it being on ESPN, it's on the ESPN app, so you can watch it wherever you may be.
All right, so what do you make? The Chargers got the huge win on Thursday night over the Chiefs. And you got the Cowboys charge it in the NFC East. What do you make right now of the NFL?
I am going to make the Chargers my AFC pick to make the Super Bowl.
Okay. That's a bold, aggressive call.
They've gone on the road. They've done it. Kansas City, Pittsburgh on the road, I believe, too.
I mean, but that game at Pittsburgh might be a complete rematch in the wild card if they don't win the division.
It's true.
LSU shooting, by the way, 50% from the field with only 3 turnovers. St. Mary's 9 turnovers already.
The defense for LSU has been spectacular, and then you look at the leading scorers for the Gales coming into this game, Ford and Fitz, 2 points combined.
Well, this is where field goal percentages, doesn't necessarily paint the entire picture, because St. Mary's is shooting better than 54% from the floor, but they have 9 empty possessions that have led to 11 points off of turnovers already. So while the field goal percentage looks high, those still, in my book, should count as empty possessions against their field goal percentage.
They came up with a 3-pointer from Tanner Krebs. Alley-oop not there, but Naz Reid is for the tip follow on the offensive glass. This is a daunting LSU team to game plan against.
You see why they were preseason top 25.
Some superior athletes on the floor, and they are working their tails off on the defensive end. Fotu for 3. Back-to-back threes for the Gales.
Now the Gales can really space the floor and knock down the perimeter shot. They were 0 for 3 to start the game, now 2 for the last 2. And what they're going to do is they're going to force you to have to defend out. And once they force out, that's when they go back to Hunter underneath, who got off to such a great start.
Hunter got the rebound there. He had the first 8 points of the game for St. Mary's. Fitz up top before the shot. An offensive foul on Kuzi. Kuzi was the one who distributed it up top and then got called right there for bumping into Marlon Taylor.
You can't do that. It's an illegal screen. That's not a hard one. There's 6 players on the floor. That's not legal. So Randy Bennett had to figure out who he was taking out.
They would consider that a disadvantage.
Tanner Krebs steps off the floor. And Tanner Krebs is one of those guys, he looked like he was going to have a breakout moment against Cal. He made his first 3 three-point shots. But he has really struggled this season, much more so than I think most people around the Gales program anticipated.
We talked to Coach Bennett before that Cal game, and he was telling us, I knew Ford was going to be there. I knew Fitz was going to be there. He expected a little bit more out of Krebs. And not to say that Krebs has played poorly, because he's put in some big minutes in this 4-game winning streak. Saw him come off the bench and hit the 3-pointer just a moment ago. But when you lose guys like Nar, Landale, Hermanson, Fitzner, Cullen, Neal, you're looking to fill holes, and you're looking for returning players to step up.
And they've always had it during this run. They've always had those players that do step up and are consistent. You mentioned the game against Cal, he was great. But since that point in time, the last 3 games, he's 2 of 9 from beyond the arc and a combined 13 points over 3 games.
Waters, the steal, and Kuzi, another foul. They cannot afford to have Tommy Kuzi in foul trouble.
Well, more importantly, I heap all the praise on Kuzi, telling you that he's the big reason for why St. Mary's offense has completely evolved and completely changed. And mentioned the fact that over the last 3 games, 21 assists to only 2 turnovers. Well, he already has 4 turnovers on this game. And we're still got 6 minutes left to go here in the first half. And what that is attributed to is the athleticism and the pressure and the length of LSU.
You saw Kuzi have the extra long handshake with Randy Bennett. Kuzi was trying to walk away and Randy said, I'm not done with this handshake quite yet.
Yeah. And a lot of those turnovers for St. Mary's have been those live ball turnovers that allow LSU to push the ball up the floor and attack.
Second game of the Neon Hoops showcase here in Las Vegas. The first game went to overtime with UNLV hitting a buzzer beater 3 to take down BYU in a renewed rivalry. First time those teams have met since 2011, when BYU left to join St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference. Now LSU up by 5, and another turnover. This time it's on Jordan Ford.
One of the things, Skylar May's doing a great job. On the catch, they are defending. They are there on the catch. They are not making them feel comfortable at all. LSU returns the favor, though. A little sloppy.
And going back to what you were just saying with LSU being there for the catch, it seems like they came out focused on the defensive end, and that's just being in the right place at the right time and knowing where you're supposed to be on the floor.
It's also getting it communicated consistently at shoot-around, at practice, watching the scout. And that has been the biggest point of emphasis for LSU.
Well, what type of coach is Will Wade?
First of all, he's one that's proven to be an outstanding recruiter of talent. But if you're going to play for him, you have to play hard and you have to play with a sense of urgency. He can handle mistakes. He's not one coach that thinks that, like, oh, you've got to be a perfectionist out on the floor. But you have got to play hard and you've got to value the basketball. I mean, every coach is pretty much the same, but he's really one that's right now is focused on getting his group to understand what it takes to compete at the level that's going to be necessary to win and go to the NCAA tournament. He's been there twice.
Fotu has knocked down 2 3-pointers here in the half. St. Mary's chipping away, now down by 2. Reed up with the left hand, got his own rebound. Back up with it, no. Popcorn's around until Fotu takes it with 4.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Despite all those turnovers, St. Mary's still in this ball game to take the lead here.
Well, and that's what Randy Bentz could be talking about his team at halftime, regardless of what the score is. They could have a lead going into the half, and he's still going to say, guys, if we just control the game and don't turn the ball over like that, we got a chance.
LSU nearly gave it right back. Mays got ahead of himself.
Smart's going to drive.
There he goes. Fade away.
I've watched him too much film to know. He caught the ball there. I was surprised he didn't go on the first touch. You're not going to get the ball in the same spot twice and not have him look to attack off that 3-point line.
Hunter, who has gone cold on the offensive end since scoring the first 8. Skip pass to Krebs, no. Mays the drive and Mays the finish.
A product out of Finley Prep. He played his final year of prep ball at Finley Prep, one of the best basketball schools in the country, right here in Las Vegas. Actually, right outside Las Vegas. A lot of friends, a lot of former coaches here in attendance to cheer him on.
Ford's just having really a hard time handling the basketball. Fitz, spin move, baseline, another block. That time Reed got a hand on it. As the buzzer sounds, Krebs hits a 3.
It's a 1-point game.
Waters the drive, and for as good as LSU has been on team defense, a lot of ISO one-on-ones on the offensive end, not a ton of flow. As Ford high off the glass, Hunter, count the basket, no. Originally,
I disagree with this call. That was off the rim.
Well, it was originally called a made basket, and then Kip Kissinger, the referee, changed his mind.
I'm surprised that Kip is a really good official. But as this ball comes off the rim, I think it's far outside the rim when it was touched. It was outside. It already had that second bounce and was outside the iron. I think the Gales should be in the lead.
Thursday, we'll have the college basketball game of the night on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Number 11, Texas Tech takes on Zion Williamson. And number 2, Duke. That's at Madison Square Garden. First time ever these two teams are meeting. You can watch that game on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern or on the ESPN app.
Well, you talk about Duke, and how can you not talk about Zion Williamson? His level of efficiency, it's not just the point production. I also think he's an outstanding passer. When I was there for the Countdown of Craziness, which is their Midnight Madness, Coach K told me he thought that Zion was the second best passer on the team behind Trey Jones. He has the complete skill set. It's why he's become the face of the sport. Plus, he's like Wile E. Coyote when he falls off the cliff, chasing the Roadrunner, and he pauses as he comes off the cliff. when Zion goes up to dunk, it's almost like he pauses to make sure you get a picture, and he's that high up in the air before he comes down, and he is just so authoritative with the way that he goes after the rim.
What do you get when you see Zion in person that you don't see on TV?
Just his girth, his size. I mean, he is very broad, very thick in his chest cavity, and it's very difficult to try to muscle him away.
Running the break, Ford up ahead, Fotu. Nothing doing there as St. Mary's is looking to take the lead.
All this length of LSU, one thing that we've kind of overlooked here in the first half is St. Mary's is out rebounding LSU.
16-10.
That's pretty impressive for Randy Bennett's team. That's a big key. They just got to stop doing that. That's 14 turnovers, 9 steals.
14 turnovers. 2 minutes to go in the first half.
Put it in perspective, they turn it over on average 9 times per game. 9 times per game, 14 in the first half.
Randy Bennett not happy about that.
I'd say he's going to lose his hair, but
just going to say the same thing.
Randy hasn't worried about that for a while.
Eric Rothman, Sean Farnham here with you. Tremont Waters, who did not start in this game but has looked very collected coming off the bench. As Ford can't deliver. I've not had a ton of whistles in this first half. Although both teams are in the bonus, at least those whistles haven't seemed to slow down the flow. But they do here with 1:23 to go in the first half.
I think some positives, obviously, for both teams. Here's the positives that I see so far in the first half for LSU. They have been much better and much more connected at the defensive end. And so if you're Will Wade, you're talking about going against you have to be very disciplined against Randy Bennett's offense. Randy Bennett has gone up against a lot of really good coaches and really good defensive teams, and they've struggled to slow down how his teams play. They've done a good job of it in the first half. In particular, their length has disrupted St. Mary's and allowed them to have some success running out from it. For Randy Bennett, it's one thing you're going to the half talking about. Guys, we gotta value the basketball. We're on pace to have 28 turnovers, 29 turnovers, maybe even 30 turnovers. We can't win a game if we're going to do that.
Well, despite that, they're down by 3
because of how efficient they are with the basketball when they don't turn the ball over.
Well, and then I was going to say that Fitz has 0 points and Ford has 2. And so they're getting a lot of role players to step up. Team effort here to keep with LSU. It's been Krebs, it's been Fotu, Hunter.
Those guys all off the bench.
Yeah.
With the exception of Hunter, who scored the first 8 points of the game for St. Mary's. You talk about Tommy Kuso, and this is Kuzi, and this is the guy that I've been focused on and watching. And in particular, when we showed up to do the Cal game, we said to Randy Bennett, it only takes one time. Randy told me today at shoot around, he said, for me, I was really trying to see, okay, can the one guard system work for me? And he goes, with the one guard system, what I was doing was taking away maybe part of what Ford does best, which is scoring the basketball. I needed somebody to take away some of the playmaking abilities off of his shoulders so it frees him up a little bit more. And by going to the 2-guard lineup, you've seen this explosion and this reemergence of St. Mary's.
It's a 4-game winning streak that they're riding right now, averaging 86 points per game, shooting nearly 60% from the floor in those 4 games. 50% from the floor in this one, and they force a turnover on the travel against Edwards. And now St. Mary's in the final 45 seconds of this first half, despite the 14 turnovers as a team. They can take the lead. Krebs already has a pair of threes in this first half. St. Mary's is 4 of 8 from 3-point range as a team. Ford lobbing inside to Tass. Tass, the post move. Got his own rebound. Tip not there. Fotu on the offensive glass. No. Good opportunities for the Gales on the inside. 7 seconds to go here in the first half. Waters, the elbow jumper. And Tass can let it fly. Not even close. But St. Mary's and LSU neck and neck heading into the break here at the Neon Hoop Showcase at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Halftime with LSU on top 29-28. Hunter had the first 8 for St. Mary's. And despite the 14 turnovers, the Gales only down by 1. After the break, we'll send you to the ESPNU halftime report. Bright lights of Fremont Street here in Las Vegas, Nevada. LSU on top by 1 over St. Mary's at the Neon Hoops Showcase here at T-Mobile Arena. Eric Rothman, Sean Farnham back here with you. And LSU's defense leading to 14 turnovers against St. Mary's in that first half. St. Mary's down by 1 despite their 2 big scorers, Ford and Fitz.
Trying to get Naz Reid involved
combining
early.
for 2 points, and they do get Reid involved early.
Yeah, they needed 2 of 8 in the first half, and he's got to own the paint. With his size and his athleticism and his strength, he should be scoring at will.
Talked about it a little bit on the offensive end for LSU in that first half. A lot of ISO ball.
Yep.
Fitz backing down. And a foul on LSU. Marlon Taylor called for the block. And Fitz is a guy that St. Mary's has to get going on the offensive end. 15 points per game coming in. 0 so far. And what he's done really nicely since transferring over from South Florida, he's a 6'8" forward. But he's stretched his game out now, shooting the 3 at a 45% clip. And that's nearly half the field goal attempts that he takes in a game.
He has been huge. He was seen as a great prospect coming out of high school. Played for a really high-level AAU program, West Coast Elite, and it's consistently produced some great players that have gone on and had tons of success. When he transferred in, you kind of just watched him at practice going, okay, he's going to be really good when he gets a chance to put on this uniform and get out on the floor. And he has not disappointed. However, tonight, he's been disengaged. Great
Give
back
and
cut.
go on the baseline.
What a great cut by Elijah Thomas.
Give credit to St. Mary's. The guys like Krebs, Hunter, Fotu, Thomas stepping up with the lack of scoring from Fitz and Ford. Here's Taylor in the corner. Three-pointer for LSU.
Good job with the drive and kick. Will Wade yelling his team to go because he wants them to be disciplined at this end of the floor. Just when, see what happened on that last possession, the ball gets given up and you stand up and relax. You can't relax on defense.
Fitz caught in no man's land. 12 on the shot clock. Aside from the turnovers, what do you want to see from St. Mary's here in the second half?
Really, that's it. I mean, everything else was great. Field goal percentage, great. Rebounding, great. Hunter should have caught that one with 2 hands and come down with it and gone right back up. But he mistimed his jump.
Back-to-back threes for LSU. That one for Skylar Mays.
After going 2 for 7 in the first half from beyond the arc. Much better consistency here to start the second half. They go 2 for 2. And both of them really good looks in transition.
Crisp, decisive three-point shots for LSU. Up by 7. Largest lead. Hunter had the first 8 points of this game. And quiet sits. Tries to facilitate. 1 on the shot clock. And a violation on the Gales.
In transition, LSU doing an outstanding job. Javonte Smart throws it ahead. You lunge and reach and get out of position if you're Elijah Thomas. And the man who played some high school ball right down the road here in Las Vegas, smiling on his way back down the floor.
You know he's pre-med as well, studying
4.0.
kinesiology.
4.0.
Good Lord.
I couldn't even add to 4.0 when I was in college. Wait, so
how do you have time? Like, this is a serious question. How do you have time to be pre-med and play Division I basketball?
Just remember, 99% of all college athletes go pro in something other than their sport. That's what the commercials tell me. But
that PSA brought to you by Sean Farnham.
Yeah, well, you know, and look, a lot of times athletes have great time management skills. It's why they become really sought after in the professional world. I never took a business course at UCLA, yet I was getting recruited to go work in the financial world of New York City out of college. And it was because they knew that they could count on time management, understanding how to work within a team concept. And
you can get a great cup of coffee.
Yeah, Skylar Mays is one of those guys that has flourished under that umbrella and made the most of his opportunity. Look, if a lot of these guys, they have aspirations of playing professionally overseas that aren't necessarily saying, hey, I'm going to be in the NBA. You know pretty quickly if you're going to play professional. When I walked on campus for the first time at UCLA and I got blocked by Jelani McCoy on a move that I scored all my points on in high school, I was like, yeah, pretty much this is it. I pretty much tapped out. And so I knew that there was going to be other opportunities. And so you focus on your studies. You focus on becoming well-rounded. Skylar Mays is one of those that has had his priorities straight from jump.
Good catch by Hunter. It's a tough pass and it's fouled immediately. St. Mary's trying to stop an 8-0 run by LSU. It's Bigby Williams, the senior, called for the foul. Bigby Williams, the transfer from Oregon, one of only 3 British players to make a Final Four. Did it with the Ducks. And he comes right out of the game for Emmett Williams. And it really seemed like early in this game, Sean, that St. Mary's had a game plan, and that was go to Hunter early and often. Work the big man, work it inside out. Hasn't happened since he scored the first 8 points.
Well, first of all, the defense has adjusted to it, and what they've wanted to do was play off of Hunter. Oh, my.
Marlon Taylor on the baseline.
I don't want to talk about Hunter anymore. I want to talk about Taylor.
Okay, sounds good.
Are you okay with that?
You can do whatever you want.
And the emotion that Will Wade is showing right now, he is beyond thrilled. I mentioned it in the first half. Marlon Taylor is one guy that he says he has to deliver for us to be good in the SEC. Well, Coach, he had the big block in the first half. He's got a 3 already, and he just delivered the goods. He is a pogo stick. How much fun is he to watch?
Tuesday, the Cherry Bundy Boca Raton Bowl between UAB, the Conference USA champs, and Northern Illinois, the MAC champs. UAB, they cut their football program 4 years ago and just reinstated it last year. And they're the champs of the Conference USA. A couple of tough defenses squaring off in that one. 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
How about that? A little bowl mania. The bowl season began today here in Las Vegas. Really, Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, Laura Rutledge on the call as Fresno State knocked off Arizona State. Boy, Pac-12's got to find a win. Pac-12 has got to find a win in the bowl season. It was nasty a year ago. Not a good start for them.
The Conference of Champions.
Yeah, don't look at the basketball scores today either.
It's a 10-0 run for LSU.
Belmont beat my Bruins.
Tell us about Belmont.
Oh, Rick Burke, great coach. Consistent. But come on, UCLA, you're at home.
I like the coaching job Will Wade is doing here with LSU. Feed the beast. As Reed.
I'm going to keep talking about Virginia Tech blowing out Washington.
No, that's okay. Mays, the drive of the finish. 12-0 run for LSU.
Oh, my.
The athleticism of LSU getting to St. Mary's. Ford, just his 4th point in this game, averaging 23 points per game, 2nd in the West Coast Conference in scoring. Very quiet.
St. Mary's has got to start making life a little bit more difficult for LSU. They've had too many good clean looks. Spacing to attack the rim, that allows their length and athleticism to be disruptive. It's what's helped them gain this 11-point lead over the Gales. Moraga, California is watching St. Mary's. Will they respond?
Halftime adjustments paying dividends for the Tigers. 12-2 run. Here in the second half, they are up by 11 at the Neon Hoops Showcase over St. Mary's as you take a look at Frank William Wade, 36-year-old head coach. You can call him Will. 2 years as a head coach at Chattanooga. Took over for Shaka Smart at VCU, and one heck of a recruiting class here with the Tigers.
Yeah, put together a recruiting class that included 2 5-star players, 2 4-star players. Finish number 3.
Oh
my.
Sean.
Please.
Oh, Waters to Taylor.
Just please. I don't know what that rim did to upset Marlon Taylor.
His shoulders were at the rim.
But he was mad. Oh, my. Ooh. You see, again, these are the flashes that you've seen. And tonight, it hasn't just been flashes. Please go out of bounds. Good, perfect. Show it to me again. And after you show it to me, I want you to show it to me one more time. Look at this. Just so elite level explosiveness. This is going to be the one.
Wow.
I mean, came out of nowhere and exploded. The change of pace is what's so key to that. He was patient and walked his man away from the basket and then exploded and cut hard to the rim. That's what gets lost because we watch the finish. But it's the fact that he changed pace.
Williams, the freshman, part of that freshman class you were just talking about, Sean.
Well, and what's happening right now is LSU's taking over this game.
Yep.
They are getting into the teeth of the paint, and they're finding their teammates. They're getting high percentage looks. The key now for Will Wade on this 16-2 run that the LSU Tigers are on is can you continue to keep your foot on the gas pedal here? Or are you going to let up and allow St. Mary's to get back in this game? The Gales are more than able to come back from this kind of deficit with the amount of time that remains in this contest. And if you're LSU, when you're trying to prepare yourself for the SEC and the rigorous schedule that you have there, you've got to take this as a learning opportunity to continue to push it.
Ten on the shot clock for Waters, who pulls up for three. What does St. Mary's need to do to get back into it?
Well, they need to shore up the interior of their defense. That's now become an issue. They need to get a better quality shot because they have not had very good looks so far.
0-2 bumped by Darius Days.
The second half numbers have just been phenomenal. LSU started 6 for 6 from the field in the second half. 6 for 6. And we're talking a couple threes, made looks around the rim. But again, it's the level of aggressiveness and the pace in which the Tigers are playing with it right now.
Board finally gets one to go. He's been frustrated in this game. Not a ton of looks for him. The Gales need to stop on the defensive end. There's Taylor again. And Taylor inserted into the starting lineup tonight as Tremont Waters came off the bench. Taylor, who's the JUCO transfer, still has this year and next year of eligibility. He is a bomb coming off that bench for LSU, and it just speaks to the depth of this team that he's not a regular starter.
He is just hunting on the back line of the defense right there.
7 to shoot for Taylor. Good defense by the Gales. 2 seconds. 1 to shoot for Smart. And a foul on the Gales underneath. Just demoralizing.
Played really good defense. You force a shot that has really no chance of going in, and then you foul.
Not only was there a foul, but if there wasn't a foul, they were going to lose it to an offensive rebound. Waters, little awkward hop into the lane, but great composure for the lay-in.
He was looking to pass that to the very last second, which is why it looked awkward. When the defense didn't step off the back line and try to help, that's when he made the decision that he had to shoot the ball.
Foul on the interior against Bigby Williams. We talked about Waters coming off the bench. You mentioned earlier his assists record, second most all time in LSU single season assist history. Not only that, but he was a guy who was originally committed to Georgetown and then recommitted to LSU after JT3 was let go.
Well, and he's so good at the defensive end and really does a great job jumping in the passing lanes. He leads the SEC in steals average per game. You mentioned his ability to share the ball. He does have a double-double this year. He has 6 double-doubles over the course of his career. Tremont Waters is very important for LSU. And whether he's starting or whether he's coming off the bench, if they're going to have success, the ball's going to be in his hands a ton. And he's done a good job tonight trying to limit some of those turnover issues that he's been having.
Well, yeah, grew up in a family with 6 brothers. I imagine you get good at sharing and stealing in a family like that. You share when mom and dad are looking, steal when they're not.
I hope not.
Oh, well, you gotta
What household were you
keep your
born and
brothers
raised
in line. Come on,
Who are your parents?
six brothers?
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Just one. I stole from her. If I want a toy, you take it. Come on.
Yeah, that doesn't
no
work
rules.
in my house.
No rules.
That does not work in my house. It's okay.
I think you're just getting played.
How many hours of counseling your sister's gone through?
She's fine.
All right, Jordan Ford not fine tonight. He has really struggled against the length and athleticism, and it has been a tough night for him. In particular, the number of turnovers, 5 turnovers in the game, and just completely out of character. When you think about the fact he was shooting 67% from beyond the arc in the last 6 games. And tonight, just 7 points.
And 5 turnovers and 0 assists. Another whistle. The frustration continues for St. Mary's. Matthias Tass.
I like what Randy Bennett's doing right now. Randy Bennett said, okay, fine, you fouled, get back, let's go. And even in a game like this, it's gotten to a 12-point lead, and it seems like things are kind of slipping away a little bit for St. Mary's here. An opportunity. Hey, guys, we're not going to face a team that's this long and this athletic the rest of the season, period. So how hard do you want to compete? How much toughness can we show right here?
Ford, full steam ahead. Will they count the basket? St. Mary's clamoring for it. Basket will not count.
That is vintage Jordan Ford, though, looking to be aggressive and attack. And that ball went off the glass. Clearly, that should have counted.
Yep.
That is a missed call. Randy Bennett not happy at all, and he shouldn't be. You're trying to get back into a game, and instead of being 39-49 with a chance to make it a 9-point game by going to the free throw line, you walk away with only 1 point instead of maybe 3.
Under 12 minutes to go here in the second half. Eric Rothman, Sean Farnham with you at T-Mobile Arena, with Reed saving it out of bounds for LSU, has an 11-point lead. Swing around to Williams. Good defense by Tass.
Now you got to push it. If you're St. Mary's, you got to get some things not going against their entire defense.
They just have not forced LSU to play on their heels enough. Grabs ball fake. Taz stripped out of bounds.
Well, 11-point lead for LSU. They came out red hot, making their first 6 shots. A lot of them high percentage looks like this one. Oh my. Marlon Taylor, go ahead and fly.
The athleticism of LSU being showcased here in Las Vegas, up by 11 here in the second half over St. Mary's, and the high flying and the defensive efforts of Marlon Taylor getting it done.
Which one do you like best? All right, let's start with the defensive end. Look at the space that he closed to block that shot. And then you get this one underneath to start the second half. Okay, well, that was nice. And then we add this one in. Okay. Good solid back cut and just the ability to finish. Just watch out and make sure you don't hit your head on the rim. So which one did you like best?
I think for style, I'm going to go with 1. I'm going to take the block.
Okay, I like that. I'll go with 3.
Yeah, I think it's between 1 or 3.
Yeah.
I mean, 2, don't sleep on 2. But
it was nice.
1 and 3, pretty good. He's been very impressive, as has this entire LSU team. Hunter, who scored the first 8 points of this game and then went scoreless.
And with all that being said, St. Mary's trails by just 3 possessions. It's a 3-possession game, a 6-0 run for the Gales. They string together stops. Good things will happen.
Williams, Hunter got a hand on it. Was that Williams who got the tip follow?
Yes, it was.
Both him and Reed were in there.
They left too much space for allowing him to catch the ball and just go up.
Kuzi back out there for St. Mary's with his 2 fouls, sat on the bench for much of this second half. Transition, Williams stuffed by Krebs, who was called for the foul. Krebs not scared of Williams coming in the lane.
A nice job in transition, threading the passing lane.
Oh, that's a lot of
very
ball.
Clean.
It's a lot of ball. You know, you talked about it before the break with Jordan Ford and St. Mary's getting success when pushing the pace and speeding up the game. Why haven't they done it more?
Well, it's a lot harder to push pace when you're taking the ball out of your opponent's net. Right? I mean, they score, they're getting their defense set up. Subsequently, also, they're a little bit hesitant in transition tonight. And what's the cause of that? 14 turnovers in the first half. So, like, okay, hey, we've really got to value the basketball. I know normally I would throw this pass, but can that pass get there? And that little brief hesitation in your mind is knocking off the timing and the rhythm of pushing it in transition.
And then you look at their top offensive producers. Ford has 8 points, and somehow Malik Fitz still a goose egg.
It's unbelievable.
0 points for Fitz, just 2 field goal attempts. And Kuzi set up much of the second half. He was in the doghouse a little bit when he came out of the game with those 2 fouls and turnovers late in the first half.
Foul on Fitz that time, setting the screen. So again, it's a 9-point game. You don't get the goaltending call. Now it's back out to 13.
Waters again.
LSU's done a really good job of playing with some composure tonight. They're playing like a team that's really figured out, at least for the first 30 minutes of this contest, how they need to play in order to be successful.
They've come out and taken advantage of the fact that they have the superior athletes, the bigger bodies, and it seems like the deeper bench, because credit Will Wade for, instead of starting Waters, bringing him in off the bench, which seemed to take a lot of pressure off of him, and he has played a very high IQ basketball game.
Look, there were guys that I played with at UCLA that went on and had good careers in the NBA. One of them was a lottery pick by the Celtics. And people would always say, why is Sean Farnham starting at UCLA down the stretch of my senior year? I was listed as a starter for the season with how many games I started my senior year. And it was because one of my teammates preferred to come off the bench. He preferred to see how the tempo of the game was set up, and then he would come in. And so while my minutes were brief, and his were those starter minutes that you'd expect, it made him feel more comfortable in understanding how he was going to play out on the court.
Waters kicks it out. Smart. Fading away. This is where Ford wants to go, but he just doesn't have numbers. And then gets caught up with Waters getting back on defense. And all of a sudden, even though the foul on that time was on Waters, you can see where the breakdowns have occurred for the Gales in this game.
It's the lack of aggressiveness. It's the second guessing of oneself. And for Jordan Ford, this is going to be an opportunity to learn in this spot, in this role, of how he's going to have to play against teams that are this long and this athletic.
Waters takes a seat with 4 fouls. And both teams in the bonus here with 9:15 to go in the second half.
St. Mary's usually doesn't shoot a lot of free throws because a lot of times it's floor spacing and perimeter jump shots, so they don't technically get to the line a ton. This is a game where I think you kind of want to force it a little bit. You're in the double bonus the rest of the way. Elongate this game. Try to get in the body of the defense and see if the officials will give you a call.
Smart. Hit his head coming down. Shaken up a little bit behind the play as Fitz is fouled.
And it's perfect. Now you get 2 free throws. Fitz hasn't had anything go right all night long. You get an opportunity to get 2 free throws. For Will Wade is asking for a foul at the other end. Well, here's why you're not going to get the foul called at the other end. Javonte Smart was completely out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally 2 hands over the top of his head, threw it back towards the rim. You're not going to get the call. And this is where Javonte Smart has to improve. Jump stop on balance and go up over the top with your left, off the glass. Finish it strong with 2.
Finally fits on the board, and he makes it a 9-point game. St. Mary's hanging around. And now Kuzi on the defensive end, bobbled, picked up by Krebs. Krebs to the rack, no. Hunter fouled going up for the rebound.
And we got more free throws coming. This is, look, I just said this. Did I not just say this less than 45 seconds? Like, this is what St. Mary's has to do. The officials have called the game consistently. Understand how they're calling it and force them to put you at the free throw line. It negates their height. And by the way, just as much as you second guess yourself, maybe in transition because of turnovers, they're going to start second guessing themselves in their defensive rotations because they don't want to put themselves in foul trouble and continue to send St. Mary's to the line.
That foul was on Edwards, his first. No real foul trouble at the moment, at least for the players on the floor for LSU. They do have Waters on the bench with 4 fouls. Monday Night Football this week. Matchup of an NFC South battle in Charlotte. Drew Brees and the 11-2 Saints clinched the division on Sunday, but now look for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, while Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, and the Panthers are desperate for a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. That's at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Monday Night Countdown starts at 6.
It's going to be great. Monday Night Football's been so fantastic this year. Drew Brees, the record setting for the most passing yards in NFL history. You had the incredible game between the Rams and the Chiefs. My guy Joe Tess, Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, Lisa Salters. It's been just an incredible year of Monday Night Football. Can't wait for that game on Monday night.
I think we need to get you one of those Booger mobiles.
That'd be awesome.
Just roll you up and down the court.
A couple more dinners in Las Vegas, I'll be rolling up and down the court.
8.5 to go here in the second half. St. Mary's creeping back into this one, down by 8. Reed stretches out for a 3-point attempt. St. Mary's trailed by as many as 15 here in this second half. Fitz for 3. His first field goal of the game. 10-0 run for the Gales.
And what they've done is they've turned this into a half-court game. They haven't allowed LSU to get any transition looks. They're forcing them to shoot out over the top, not giving them paint looks.
Reed puts it on the deck. That's a tough shot.
Just so strong. Sometimes when you watch him shoot those 3-pointers, you're wondering, why aren't you attacking the hoop? Because you're so good at it.
Ford, baseline, floater, no, got his own rebound, saves it from going out of bounds. Kuzi goes after it. LSU basketball.
Well, not a lot of things have gone right for St. Mary's seemingly all night long. The turnovers in the first half. Fitz has been quiet, waking up a little bit here as of late, and so are the Gales. They've cut the lead to just 7.
A 15-point lead is down to 7 for LSU against St. Mary's here in Las Vegas. 7.5 minutes to go in regulation. And Farney, we talked about it, but Ford and Fitz, the big 1-2 punch, has lacked scoring. But all of a sudden, Ford being more aggressive to the rim, and Fitz hits that big 3-pointer before the break.
Well, what's happened for Fitz in particular, you get to the free throw line, you're able to knock down a pair of free throws. You see the ball actually go through the hoop. And you go, man, okay, I can do it. I can make a shot here tonight. And then all of a sudden you make the 3-pointer from the outside, and we've got ourselves a game. The biggest key down the stretch is going to be forcing LSU to shoot out over the top. They are scored 32 of their 57 points in the paint. You've got to close off the paint.
Waters back out there with those 3 fouls, and he hits the 3.
Never mind. Fremont Waters now 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. He's got 12. But I'd still take my chances if I'm St. Mary's. I'm going to force them to continue to make those shots.
Fitz again. Starting to get more looks on that perimeter for Malik Fitz, but down by 10. Need those defensive stops. They feed Reed. Too easy. Just too easy.
What's too easy is when you do your work early and you duck in like that in the paint, 2 feet in the paint, you've got to give that man the ball because he is going to finish it.
Kuzi back to the basket. Uzi in the lane.
Notice how they're not necessarily charging to try to block their shots anymore because they're afraid they're going to be sending St. Mary's to the free throw line. So if you're the Gales, you've got to recognize that and be like, okay, if we got a seam, we can attack right now.
Yeah. And that's where you think Jordan Ford would be great stepping up. It's been where he has found success in this ball game. Taylor for three.
See, if you're Jordan Ford now, I'm pushing right now. I'm not walking it up and looking.
Fitz ISO on Williams. Fitz the drive. Count it. He'll go to the line.
St. Mary's continues to whittle this thing away, and a great job recognizing by Fitz, driving and attacking, getting into the body, the secondary defensive player inside the restricted arc area. You see both feet clearly inside there for Naz Reid, and Fitz just went right through him.
Reid, his third foul. And Fitz, we've said it all game, but if the Gales want to get the offense going, it's got to be with this guy in mind. Came into the game averaging 15 points per game. He was scoreless in the first half. And now, all 7 of his points here in the last 5 minutes.
I'm taking the percentages and I'm sagging defensively. I'm going to clog up. I want to overhelp. Last thing I want to do is allow something going towards the basket.
And you're okay with having Reid catch the ball out there.
No question.
5 on the shot clock, Waters. Well, they played the percentages. They bit him.
Well, the difference in that one is you double teamed Naz Reid in an area where
didn't need to be
you
double
didn't need to be double teamed. And so you left Tremont Waters wide open on the outside. He just knocked down one, and now you give him more space. That's not smart.
Hunter lowered the shoulder. Reid took the flop. No whistle, and Hunter finishes. There's Waters again. Taylor for 3. These are the shots the St. Mary's defense is looking to force.
You put yourself in a good box out position, and you end up getting the hold foul from behind on Naz Reid, and clock stops. Get an opportunity to go down to the free throw line, and it's 4 fouls now on Naz Reid. So what do you think his level of aggressiveness is going to be down the stretch here?
Minimal. But now we're seeing the guards for St. Mary's start to poke inside a little bit more, and that's opened up things for Fitz when he is stretched outside. Knocked down the 3. He's gotten to the line a couple times.
Fotu's played well, and he continues to be a guy that's coming off the bench and providing energy and effort that has allowed St. Mary's, in particular in the first half, to stay in this game, whether it was his 2 3-pointers that he made in the first half, but done a good job rebounding as well.
The freshman from Auckland, New Zealand. It's a 7-point game under 4.5 minutes to go here in regulation. Waters circling.
Good job defending the on-ball screens that time by St. Mary's.
Mays lost it, and a foul on the Gales. Hunter can't believe it.
LSU fans, I believe, a mocking cheer.
Sarcastic.
Yes. It's been a long time since they've been at the free throw line.
Skylar Mays is there, the junior from Baton Rouge.
What impressed me about that possession for LSU is when I watched them earlier this year, that double staggered screen, they're coming right off of it and they're looking to score right away. Instead, they were patient enough to go through their first action, then get to the second action of that set, which is what allowed them to turn the corner and get an opportunity to draw the foul. That's maturity. You cannot just be first side of the possession, like, hey, this is what we got to get. Like that possession right there for St. Mary's.
Jordan Ford saying that his air ball was tipped by Skylar Mays. Referees see it differently. Kip Kissinger, Kirby Sid, Jeff Malham.
Well, either way, not a good shot.
No.
You're taking a contested NBA three without passing the ball once in your offensive half court.
And it wasn't an open one.
No, so what has worked well for you?
There you go. Forward transition after the steal. Not sure how St. Mary's is within 7, but they are. They are still in this ball game. 3.5 to go. Williams and 1. They just keep giving up easy buckets underneath.
Well, it starts with moving without the basketball. You want to get open, you set a screen. Sometimes the most selfish thing you can do is set a screen for your teammate. You slip that screen, you roll to the rim, you have your hands ready. Great pass, strong finish. LSU saying we own the paint, and we're up by 9.
UFC fans, this is the moment you truly all been waiting for.
I tell you, I went to the UFC headquarters yesterday here in Las Vegas. Got to walk inside Dana White's office. Got to see their training facility. Phenomenal. I mean, they have a kitchen there that is like gourmet, top-tier restaurant quality food being served, and the athletes can buy it there basically at cost. And they can train there for free. It almost makes me want to become a UFC fighter. And then I remember what it's like inside the cage when I watch those on pay-per-view, and soon to be on ESPN Plus. 30 fights a year starting in January, and I go, okay, nah, I don't want any part of that. Nobody really wants any part of Tremont Waters. Excuse me, I can speak. I promise
Sure.
I can. But what a game he has had. The way he's responded. I mentioned 5 turnovers, over 5 turnovers per game over the last 5. Do you know how many turnovers he has tonight? 0. He also has 3 assists and 15 points. This is the guy that was the all-freshman team a year ago in the SEC, and a big part of why LSU was preseason a top 20 team in the Associated Press poll is because fans expected this kind of output. And whether he comes off the bench or starts, the minutes have been there for him. He's played 26 minutes. That is second highest on the team.
And he's the leading scorer with 15 points.
Sometimes we focus on oh, I'm starting or I'm not starting. Relax about all that. Are you playing or are you not playing? That's the important thing. The game's on the line. Are you out there? Is your coach counting on you? Are your teammates counting on you?
Well, not only that, but are you making an impact? And ever since Waters came off the bench early in that first half, he has made an impact. Kept the tempo and composure of this LSU offense in check. Up by 10 with 3 minutes to go here in the second half. Hunter slips inside, flips it up and in. The Gales have enough on the offensive end to make a run here.
Well, the bigger question is they have enough on the defense end. Here they go, that screen action again. They give the ball up, they're going to immediately come back to a screen.
For the steal. Driving. Big B Williams chasing. Not in time.
Right as after I said Waters didn't have a turnover, that's his first of the game. And the lead's now down to 6. It's a 2-possession game. I know Gales haven't shot the ball well, but they can shoot the ball from 3.
Waters, little hesitation. Mays for 3. Offensive rebound. Waters in the right place at the right time.
If you're St. Mary's, you have to get that rebound. You just, whatever it takes.
And now Waters can milk the clock with 2 minutes to go. 17 on the shot clock and no rush for the Tigers.
This is not an ideal matchup.
Krebs on Waters. Smart baseline. Williams' second effort won't go down.
I'm attacking here from Jordan Ford.
Goes with his left, crossover in the lane. Ford the finish.
You can just see the way the floor was spacing as he's coming up. He's got to continue to look for that seam and be aggressive.
And LSU takes a timeout. The Gales hyped. Down by 4.
Hasn't been a great night for Jordan Ford. He's got a couple of steals and runouts here in the second half, but look, the defense lunges and reaches. Now you got a size and speed advantage as far as a ball handler goes amongst the trees, and now you force the defense. They're having to shift and chase, and Just all that length and athleticism can't get there.
Thursday, we'll have the college basketball game of the night. That's on ESPN at 7 Eastern when number 11 Texas Tech takes on number 2 Duke with Zion Williamson at Madison Square Garden. First time these two teams have ever met. You can watch it on ESPN 2 at 7 or on the ESPN app. So St. Mary's, who trailed by as many as 15, is now within 4.
And you can see with the fight of Randy Bennett, the system that he has developed, why they've had so much success during his tenure. They don't back down in these moments.
Played good defense down the stretch. Waters committing his first turnover of the game a moment ago. Floater in the lane. And a rebound by Krebs. Momentum shifting in favor of the Gales for the final 115.
Randy Bennett trying to flatten it out. He's going to go to a 1-4 flat and look to attack. Jordan Ford trying to draw that foul.
Good defense. Smart came over to help. He's on Ford. A step back 3. And Hunter called for the wraparound foul.
Not the worst thing. I know Randy Bennett doesn't like the call. Here's why it's not the worst thing. You're going to the other side. You got 2 free throws. The clock has stopped. All right. First and foremost, the clock has stopped.
We're waiting to see who's shooting the free throws. It looks like it's Williams.
He's 67% free throw shooter.
Hunter, number 1, was who was called on.
It should not be Williams. It should be Reed.
Yep, you're right.
Wrong person shooting the free throw.
They're both 67% free throw shooters.
How the officiating crew didn't pick up on that, I mean, because he wasn't anywhere near the play.
No.
I mean, that's really poor. You have the wrong person at the free throw line. That's who should be at the free throw line. Because, by the way, Reed is 4 for 4 from the free throw line, so it's not like he hasn't shot the ball well there. But the right person should be shooting at the free throw line.
The wrong person, Williams, hit both of them.
And that's just poor communication. Talk about communication as players. Officiating crew, as soon as that foul's called, you got to know who's going to the line and identify it.
Waters, interception. The finish against Fitz. 4 in a row for LSU. Back out to an 8-point lead. Ford caught in no man's land. 37 seconds to play here in regulation. Krebs for 3. Fitz looking to throw it down, but instead a whistle on LSU. It's Evan Williams called for the foul.
Tremont Waters doing a great job. Again, jumping the passing lane, active hands. He's one of the best in the country at it. And he has played every bit the part that you would hope for if you're an LSU Tigers fan. He has had an outstanding night.
So Fitz at the free throw line, an opportunity for free points with the clock stopped at 32 seconds. Naz Reed back in there for LSU, and for St. Mary's, it's Alex Madronja, the freshman from Australia, who has not played at all in this game, but has fouls to give. Although both teams in the double bonus. Krebs the offensive rebound, and he'll go to the line. 2 seconds come off the clock. And now a chance for St. Mary's to make it a 5-point game.
Again, smart play by St. Mary's, chasing down A, the rebound, and then B, knowing immediately, hey, we don't have a lot of time to give. I'm going to try to see if these officials will give me one driving towards the basket, even if I'm out of control, and they did.
So we'll see if Randy Bennett has anything up his sleeve. Fitz takes a seat on the bench. Fotu is back in there. 5-point game. And the roulette wheel of substitutions continues for St. Mary's. Thomas comes back in. Full court pickup for the Gales. Waters takes the inbound. Lost it. Numbers for the Gales. Ford for three. Rattles it in. 2-point ball game.
How about that? Just a great job. Active hands of the defense. Pinning Tremont Waters on the sideline. If you just pick the ball up there, instead of trying to dribble through, you're fine. Watch now, he dribbles ball. Now you're pinned on the sideline. You go behind your back. You have to have an awareness when you bring the ball behind your back, somebody is chasing from behind, and then Jordan Ford, feet set, get behind the three-point line, and it's a 2-point game.
Wow. What an effort.
What a game.
By St. Mary's.
We've heaped a ton of praise on LSU, and deservedly so tonight. But you can see why St. Mary's has turned the corner over the last 4 games and why their offense is so much better. And it starts with rebounding. They've done a nice job against this taller, more athletic team, keeping it in the plus side for them on the glass.
Down by 2 now. Smart has to get it in. Mays caught in the corner. Outlet to Waters. 17 seconds to go and a foul as Krebs goes flying. He's the one called for the block. 4th on Krebs. So Waters to the free throw line where he's a 77% shooter on the season. Chance to make it a 4-point game.
You go back to that goaltending charge that wasn't called. That's 2 points right there. Earlier in this half, I mean, these plays matter.
First one falls off for Waters. So
regardless, you've got a chance here for St. Mary's.
1 possession game, even with the make. So Fitz and Hunter come back in.
Because of how poor you've shot the ball from beyond the arc overall, I know Ford just hit one. I think you attack. I think you attack, you press again.
We're going to have a decision to make 1 timeout.
Randy Bennett just called his play from the sideline. Jordan Ford was asking 2 or 3. He knows exactly what he wants.
Waters gets it. 3-point game. Ford will take it with 17 seconds to go. Shot clock turned off and St. Mary's down 3. Ford does what Varney said he should do, but this time kicks it out to Fitz for the tie. No. Rebound inside by Bigby Williams. 6.5 seconds to play and he'll go to the line.
He drove and the rotation flattened out. I thought Fitz should have shot the first one. The second one, his feet was off balance. He was drifting to his left. Degree of difficulty way too hard. If his feet are set right now, it's catch and shoot.
He had Smart coming over on the left side, and that's what made him hesitate.
By the way, if he shoots that shot, Smart's momentum probably carries him into him, and maybe even a potential for a 3-point play, an opportunity to go to the foul line and earn all 3, even if you got the miss.
Instead, Fitz pulled it back, put it on the floor, and took the second look. So now Bigby Williams, a 62% free throw shooter. We talk about Las Vegas and the storied history of boxing. This is the cousin of Lennox Lewis at the free throw line right now.
We were talking about him earlier. The great champion he was.
Came up short on that one, the lefty.
He needs 1. And then, by the way, if I'm LSU, now with it under 7 seconds, I'm fouling. I'm not going to let him get a 3-point shot off.
Tanner Krebs fouled out on that last play.
1 or 2 dribbles, and then you foul.
Quinn Clinton, number 2 for St. Mary's. Not seen him at all in this game. He is out there now. Bigby Williams, big free throw. Got it. 4-point game.
And now, with that, you don't have to foul. Nope. They're going to extend out the pressure because they're going to want them to have to catch the ball and take time off the back. There it is.
Ford gets it, 5 seconds to play. 3 seconds, Ford up ahead, the lay-in. And a quick timeout for St. Mary's down by 2.
The best you can do in that scenario. The problem is now you got to get a steal and score in 1.7 seconds. because if they catch the ball and they go anywhere towards their end of the basket, and this is where if you're LSU, in my opinion, you utilize your length and athleticism. I would set my screen for my guards, but I'm telling whoever's taking the ball out of bounds, throw it all the way to the other end of the court.
But don't you run the risk of nobody catching it?
No, because you're going to have one of your 6'9", 6'11", 40-inch vertical leap athletes down there that can catch the ball.
I'm just pointing out the risk.
Okay, but even if that is the case, even if that is the case, 1.7 down there,
right,
you're not doing anything. Right. The last thing you want to do is throw a short pass and have it deflected and then picked up and thrown in the hoop from 3 feet away because you're trying to inbound the pass in front of the free throw line. You want to force. If you're St. Mary's, you want them to try to throw the ball from the free throw line towards your basket. If you're LSU, I want the ball from half court on. I don't want it even in this half. I don't want any chance of it in this half. Deflect the ball, let it bounce once, and we're getting out of here with a victory, getting on a private plane, headed back to Baton Rouge. Kent Lowe's going to have some birthday cake on the way home. It's going to be a nice night for the LSU Tigers if they execute here.
LSU looking to move to 8-3 on the season. Coming off a loss at Houston, this would be a really nice pick-me-up for the Tigers here in Las Vegas. It's Javonte Smart to inbound, gets it to Mays. 0.6 of a second come off the clock. So they did not listen to you. Shot clock.
It's not the first time somebody hasn't listened to me in my life.
So Mays at the free throw line, 88% free throw shooter. Coming up for LSU, they play undefeated Furman, ULM, then they start conference play at Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss. For St. Mary's, it's Bucknell, Western Kentucky, San Jose State, and conference play starts with San Francisco.
Randy Bennett's moving Hunter right to the top of the key, but I mean, it really isn't going to matter because with 1.1 seconds left, I mean, you've got one dribble and a heave.
Right. And you're down by 4. Not going to have enough time. A valiant comeback effort for St. Mary's, but the athleticism and the depth of LSU is too much. The Tigers move to 8-3 with a 4-point victory here at the Neon Hoops Showcase.
If you're a Gales fan, you should be proud of your team's effort because there was a moment in the second half where they could have folded up 10. Instead, they came back and showed some toughness. If you're LSU, I think you've got to be really thrilled that your team showed a glimpse of stringing together long sustained periods of time of executing and competing at both ends of the floor. And Tremont Waters, big part of tonight's win. Marlon Taylor, they've been talking about wanting to see him round into form before SEC play. If that's his form, it looked pretty good.
Great doubleheader here at the Neon Hoops Showcase with UNLV winning on a buzzer beater against BYU in overtime in our first game, and LSU wins by 4 against St. Mary's in the second game. For our entire crew here in Las Vegas, for Sean Farnham, I'm Eric Rothman saying so long and enjoy the rest of your weekend as LSU tops St. Mary's to finish off the Neon Hoops Showcase.